くさ。
Absurdo.
Patmos, tio!
Velmi Ardred. Boris son? Gian. Velmi Ardred. Kachael Liasoke. Velmi Ardred. Opal. Velmi Ardred. Opal. Velmi Ardred. Kachael Velmi Ardred. Velmi Ardred. Velmi Ardred. Boris son? Gian. Helma Delker.
Ah, Ranjo Stenja. Jonsha. Garadel Akari.
Absurdo. Goa namane churo. To atacando.
Papa nada.
So just so you see, regarding a question here, just so you see that Unity, if you use nav-mesh agents, Unity already manages the collisions between agents, so you don't have to worry about that. The same applies to tanks. Okay, so if the final movement, see, is using enough mesh the set destination, if it collides with the other tank, it will just avoid it, just as it happened here. Okay, so NavMesh has what's called crowd control, so these zombies here don't crush each other, but they do a crowd formation, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, people. So see you next week. Okay. Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah. No. Yeah, because if there is a positive in Terrassa and everything like that, well, we don't know. Okay. So have fun, work a lot, and let's hope we can come here next week. Okay. Bye.
I was telling you from the from the email. Well, thanks a lot for accepting. Okay. So basically now we need to study ways of putting widgets on the screen. So we saw only particular widgets, and now we have to combine them. Okay. So essentially, there are basically three ways of joining, like combining widgets on the screen. And these are vertically, like in a column, then horizontally, like in a row, and the other one is the stack, which is like in layers. And we will combine all of this in the next class. So today I will explain row, column, and stack, and then next day I will start an example, which will be also a kind of a sample of the task you will have to do. Actually, as a suggestion from somebody on this class, I wrote to the guy who's the teacher for your engines class, but he still hasn't responded yet. So anyway, I was asking for the schedule for your deliverables and stuff for engines, so that I can put my tasks in between, let's say, so interspersed with that. Okay, so I hope you see my screen. Now today I'm using the Android emulator because it's much nicer to work with if you need good hot reload. So that's why I'm using the emulator. Actually, the text I'm showing now is too small, I guess, but should we do it as Jauma, it's up to you. If you think it helps you remember. So sometimes I believe I go maybe too fast for people, but still, if you want to do it and you ask questions, I'll try to answer them. It's not a... If you want to watch, it's fine by me as well. So maybe you can then be more attentive to what I'm saying exactly. But you have the videos as well, so you have a lot of stuff to be able to follow. I believe the best way is possibly to see me do it, and then later on try to replicate what I did quickly, like in half an hour try to do the stuff I did in class, more or less. I think that's the best. For today, actually, I'll give you some exercises to work with, because I have a little screenshot of stuff you can try to practice. So it's a nice way to try to understand. But yeah, in a way, I believe the best also is to do a big example, and the first task is going to be that, and I will do one in class. So if you just watch, I think it's fine. Okay. So now the app I have now, I hope you see it well. It's a small one. It's just, let me make it bigger even. It's a small one. It just has, but I want to review this because I want you to know it well. The material app thing is a widget which represents the whole application. Okay, and then every screen of the application should use, possibly not always, but I think 99% or 95%, use a scaffold, and a scaffold is a structure for a whole screen. Okay. Now the scaffold, now I have only a material and a scaffold, and then inside of it I have a center and a text. And the other day we were talking about these widgets, but now I want, let's say, to display stuff on top of each other. Actually, let me first change this text to make it bigger. So I'll put a comma actually in there, press Shift Alt F, which formats, actually no, I'm in Linux now. In Linux is Control Shift I. So whatever, so Control Shift I. And then in this text, I'm going to change the style, and the style was something like this. Text style, and I'll say font size at least, let's say 50 or something like that. Let's try that. Yeah, 50 shows much better the image on the screen. Okay. Okay. So now let's say I wanted to put another text below this one. How do I do that? Well, the center we can keep it if you want, but we can remove it as well. I also want to show you today how to remove widgets, put widgets in between and stuff. Actually, let's remove the center to see that, basically. If I go with the cursor to the text, sorry, to the center, which is the one I want to remove, and press Ctrl dot, then this menu appears that you might know from other days. But let's you know, see it in action with more examples. Like the center, I can do a lot of stuff, and one of them is like remove this widget. And what does that do? Well, that removes the widget but keeps the child. So basically, if I do that, then I will keep the text and not the center. So the center has disappeared. It's like cutting a tree in a point and removing only that stuff and then rejoining it. If I save it now, you will see that the text goes to the top. So yeah, but let's keep it like that. And also with the same tool, with the Ctrl dot key, I can press it again on the text and then look at what the options are. These ones with wrap, with container, padding, row, blah blah. Now center, column, container, padding, and row are almost 80% of what you will need ever. So let's start with a column. Let's wrap it with a column. Okay? So I'll wrap that with a column, and then what it does is it writes for me this little thing. It's not so much, but it already indents it and organizes it, and it's fine. Just if I have to write that myself, it's a little more cumbersome. So now I have a column with a parameter called children. This time it's not child, it's children, because this is a list. If you hover over this children thing, you will see that this is a list widget. List of widgets, I mean. And then inside here I'll put many widgets. Let's put some more text. Actually, you know what? I'll remove this last comma. If I do now Ctrl+I, it goes up one line, and then I'll copy this and put it many times, and we can do hi, how are you, something. Yeah, let's do that in the column, and you see now that the column is working fine, and it's putting everything one on top of each other. And now there are a lot of options in how columns work, and we have to kind of understand well how to work with them. Now, one thing you might have noticed already is that the text is centered, but the box that the text is centered in is kind of in the corner or something, so it's not good. And also that the text is below the Android status bar. Now I'll show you one little trick which is funny, which is in the scaffold. If you put the up bar, let's put one to show that actually. Let's say I want an up bar with nothing, but if I do that, the up bar appears, which is fine. But let's say I wanted only to draw without an up bar, but now I don't want to touch the status bar of Android. How can I fix that? There's this special widget which is funny called Save Area. This is an interlude. It doesn't really, it's not that important, but for making the examples nicer right now, it's nice to explain it. So in the column, I'll say Ctrl dot, I'll say wrap with widget, and I'll say save area. Now save area, what it does is it computes what's, oh sorry, it was trying to help me, but it didn't help. Save area tries to see your mobile phone and what are the areas in which if you paint you will obscure something. And you know these mobile phones which have this notch at the top, or they call it yeah, it's like a notch or a drop, or they call it something else, which is a piece of the screen which is interrupted by the camera or something. And then you can paint on some of the two sides, but not there. So the save area just makes sure that you are putting your widgets inside a proper area. This is a curiosity in a way, but let's use it, and you will see that now the high goes down, and it doesn't paint below the status bar of Android. Okay, it's a small detail, but it's nice. Now I also want to show you, because the other day I think we took a look at the dev tools and we saw the boxes that Flutter uses to paint stuff, and I want to show you another way to activate that much faster, which is if you press Ctrl+Shift+P, then a dialog appears asking us for typing a command. If you here types painting, you will see that 2 commands in VS Code are related to painting, and both of them are from Flutter. So one of them says Flutter toggle debug painting, which is the one we want, and then the other toggle baseline painting, which is similar. I'll show you later. So let's do this toggle debug painting. If you do that, we are essentially putting these boxes around that show us how Flutter is interpreting the sizes of things and distributing stuff. For today, this is very important, and I encourage you to use this a lot, because otherwise you have to kind of guess what Flutter is doing, and guessing is bad. It's like in debugging, guessing is totally imperfect. You should debug stuff and know what's going on, okay? So now we see actually the column. It's not, let's change something here. Let me change the background, because I want to see this much better. Let's change the background color of the scaffold to black. And then all these texts we will make, let's select that and do colors white or something. Oh yeah, let's make yellow. I duplicated the cursors by pressing Ctrl D and all that. And then now if I save, you see the boxes much better, I think, okay? So it seems that the column is it's not taking the whole space of the screen, and also the column is putting the elements. Yeah, something's going on. You can tell me if you want on the chat if you need, because I saw somebody there on the class. Well, it's funny to do the class like this. Anyway, if you have problems, tell me. Okay, and now. What I was saying is that the column is aligning all the widgets vertically. It seems that it's centering them on a smaller size. Like the width is not the whole screen, but it also seems that it's taking the size from the widget that has the biggest width. Sorry. So how has the biggest width, and the column's taking that as a size or something. Now everything else, all the configuration of the column we can change easily, and there are lots of parameters, so we have to experiment with that first. The first parameter that we are interested in is the following one. I'm putting the cursor inside the column now, and I'll press, as we did the other day, the Control Space. And in Control Space, you see all the parameters that the column has. One of them is called main axis size. This is the most important probably, which tells what size the column should try to have. And there are actually only two values in here. If I press that main axis size and go to the parameter, you will see that it has a type of main axis size. So this is a type, main axis size. And in that type, I have two possible values, maximum and minimum. If I do maximum, we won't see any changes, because that's the size we are getting now. Like the column tries to be as tall as it can within the bounds that it has. Now it has the whole screen except for the save area, so it takes the whole screen. That's it. Vertically, I mean. So vertically, it's gonna take the maximum size. If I say min, it's gonna get the minimum size. And you saw the box now. On the screen, the text is not moving, but you see the box is getting from bigger to smaller. So now the column is bigger and smaller. Now, if we put a center around the column, let's put that. Let's say wrap with center, and I'll say that. You see now that the column is smaller, and if I change the size to max, it's clearly taking the maximum space vertically, and here is taking clearly the minimum space vertically, okay? So that's a nice way to see that, even if the center doesn't, help us too much now. I don't really want it, but it's just an example. Let's remove it again. And you see now how easy it is to put and remove widgets sometimes, and especially the ones you need the most, okay? Okay, that's one nice thing. There's another important thing that I have actually to show you the slides, because otherwise you won't see. Let me open the slides for a second, because where? Yeah, here. So basic widgets here. Let me show you a diagram which tells you this thing that I wanted to show you now, which is this. I hope you see that now. Okay. So the idea is that there's a terminology, there's a way of speaking about the column and row, in the sense that a column is a sequence of widgets, and the main axis is called the axis which is vertical in the column, and main axis represents the most important axis in a widget like this. And in the row, the main axis is the horizontal. So that's what main axis was referring to. And when we want to work with stuff on the main axis, you will see always main axis. And this applies to both column and row. So it is very important that that you remember what the main axis is. What's the contrary to the main axis? The cross axis, of course. And the cross axis is perpendicular. In our column in the screen right now, the cross axis is the horizontal axis. So if we wanted, for instance, to align the text on the left or the right, we would have to change stuff related to the cross axis, okay? And in the beginning, I remember I was confused by this a little bit, but after thinking it through, I think that the terminology is right. It's nice that it reuses the same terminology for both column and row. So essentially, main axis for column is vertical, main axis for row is horizontal, and then cross axis is the orthogonal one. I'll keep the slides up here for later, but that's one thing I have to explain. Because now, if I open here a line and say, okay, what else do I have? You can see here like main axis alignment and cross axis alignment, which are the second most important kind of parameters. Let's work with the main axis alignment. This is bothering me all the time. What do I have to do? Wait for it to go away? Okay, let's wait for it. Okay, so let's say main axis alignment. And the type of this is again a made up type, which I cannot see now because this type. And you can see that the default value is main axis alignment start, okay? Actually, in this case, what does start mean? Let's try that. Main axis alignment. Let's keep it at start first, which wouldn't change things. Now, something I'll do for you to see well is to, instead of putting the minimum in here, I'll say maximum. So the column is gonna stretch vertically. And now that I put the start in here, you see that the start is the start of the main axis. So if I do end now, so main axis alignment end means everything goes to the end of the main axis, which is basically the bottom. If I do, for instance, center, you will see that the elements on the column are centered in here. And by the way, I didn't put any... This is not good. I didn't put any stuff apart from text, but of course here you can put something which is not text. Let's oops, I didn't put the comma in the way I wanted. Let's change it again. I'll put it here. Oops. Yeah, I want to indent like that, and I have 4 text that you can see now. But I'll put a container in here so that you can see that we can have anything inside the... Oops. Yeah, it's trying to help me, but sometimes. So I'll say these containers like width 80, height 80 as well, and the color is colors, what can we say? Colors red, for instance. And yeah, you can see now that this container is there, so you can see it perfectly. This is to show you that you don't have to put only text in there. You can put anything. You can put actually a column within a row and a row within a column and all the combinations like that. But we will practice that later. Let's focus on this now. So we were aligning stuff. How many more ways are there for aligning in the main axis? Well, we have center, we have scene, end, which is the bottom right now. Start is the beginning, and then there's a space around, space even, and space evenly. Between and space evenly. So let's say space around. Let's see what that does. Space around. What this does is to distribute elements And the remaining space, the space that the hollow has, that the elements do not occupy, it's shared between them. Like there's 5 pieces of space that are shared, and then it's put around the elements. So if I actually say space between, actually in between regions there are only 4 regions, and now you see that the space between the elements is the same. Okay, so we have space between, space around, and space evenly. And the space evenly, I think, is the best possibly, because it splits the available space into 5. Actually, here it's 6 pieces, because there are 4 pieces for the in between, and 2 extra pieces for the beginning and the end. So the first element is not touching the top of the column. If I say space between, you see that the first and the last are touching the borders of the column, yeah, the edges, I mean. And if I say space evenly, some of the space is put before and after the last element, before the first element and after the last element. So there are a lot of options to distribute our elements. So you can play with this a lot, and then, you know, put some interesting. Let's keep this space evenly for now. Space evenly, something like that. Okay. Okay. So this is the alignment. Now, this is for the main axis. Yes. So we are just touching the main axis. All this time, these elements were aligned. They are centered basically on the cross axis. All the time they've been centered, but we can change that also. Actually, I'll make the how longer, so that you see that the column gets longer now, and we see more clearly what's going on. So let's touch now the cross axis. So the cross axis alignment. Now, if I type C, there's only one parameter in the column constructor, which has a C in the beginning. So I'll say that. And now this has a specific type as well, like cross-axis alignment, and you see that we are already using the center value. That's why it was centered, but let's change it. Let's say cross-axis alignment dot, and we have quite a few values as well. Like center is 1, which we already have. Let's use start now. So if I say start, everything goes to the left. Okay. If I say end, everything goes to the right. Okay, so the cross axis also starts on the left, is the smallest value, like an x axis in a way. And then we have stretch. Okay, Jaume is asking something. When doing more complex apps, how do we organize code to don't die? What does that mean when trying to find something? When trying to find,
I mean, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
I mean, there's a moment when we are going to have like hundreds or thousands of lines of code to organize our application and our different screens in our application.
Yeah. Okay, no, I see you. Yeah, don't worry about that. I'll do an example with a really strict organization. Today I have to review. You are kind of going ahead, which is nice. Today I'll and stack and stuff like that, and also some tricks about it. Next day we will see a full layout, and when I'm doing the full layout, I'll show you what I think what you're asking, like putting stuff in files and not making this kind of Flutter tree so big, which is difficult to manage and stuff. Yeah. I'll be really strict by organizing my examples. So I think you will see that, I believe. Okay?
Thanks.
Super. Okay, so I was doing this center and start, blah blah blah. And one of the important cross-axis alignment values in the column is this one called stretch, which I want you to remember because it's very useful. If I do stretch, the column is gonna try to stretch everything to the limit and also stretch the children. So this is very useful for many screens, which really need to kind of fill the whole width of the screen. So it's useful to remember that. And not only the column stretches, but it also stretches the children. Okay, this is important because when I didn't use that, when I used start, for instance, the column was taking the space of the biggest child horizontally, but then everyone else just took the size that it wanted. Now, if I do stretch in here, you will see some interesting stuff. Like if I do stretch and now I go to the first high and say, okay, the text alignment is text align, text align dot, and I'll say center, then I can center only one of the elements. But you see what we were talking the other day, that the text has no, Enrique, it's not justified. The justification is within the text. Like if I say here justify, then it will be justified. Actually, let me put hi ho multiplied by 10, and then we can see that is justified. Okay, let's put a not so big font. Yeah, that is justified, but it doesn't. On the rectangle, for instance, look. Even if I said width 80, it just didn't comply to that. It just took the whole width because the column is taking charge of the size. Okay, well, all these things possibly you can. There are possibly 2 or 3 ways of doing something in Flutter, and it doesn't matter so much how you do it, but it's important that you can apply some of this stuff. Okay. Now the stretch one, it's interesting. Let's go back, for instance, to the start one and see what happens now. Yeah, now the first paragraph still justified and blah blah because the box is like you see on the screen. I'm keeping the boxes all the time so that you can see that, and I encourage you to do it as well to see what is going on. Yeah, otherwise it's difficult to know that. Now let's go again to the start on the main axis. So if I do start like that, everything piles up at the start. But let's suppose I wanted that the U in the end, let's mark it with a different color, let's say blue. So I want this U here to be down on the bottom, yeah? So I would like the space between the R and U to be stretched in a way as well, like flexibly, to make the U word be on the bottom of the screen. So how can I do that? Well, inside columns and rows, there are specific widgets that let us control, that are kind of springs that they just stretch automatically. And one of them is called spacer. And if I put a spacer in here and now save, you will see that the U goes down. And the box is not shown clearly. Actually, if I center on the cross-axis, we might see it. Though, let's try that. Cross-axis alignment center. So I'll center everything. Yeah, you see the spacer now. Because before it was touching the left, and now it's on the center. You see the space. The spaces is just a box, which is taking the whole remaining space that it finds on the column. Okay, this is a kind of a protocol. When you have a tree in Flutter, the widgets kind of negotiate between themselves what the sizes are going to be, and we didn't write many sizes except for this box here. Like I say, 180, and I can make it larger. But in general, you wouldn't be putting any sizes in things. You need to do things flexibly so that they adapt to the size of the screen you have. This is actually quite important. So the spacer, what it did was to stretch all the space until the end. Now, what would happen if I also put a spacer down here? Let's take a look. Now, if I do that, it seems that the first spacer and the second spacer are sharing in equal proportion the space that was remaining there. So let's put another one somewhere else, like in between the how and things like that. And now it seems that the 3 spacers are taking the same size. So that's curious. So how do they do that? Well, the Flutter protocol is programmed in such a way that the column first calculates the sizes of everyone, and then the remaining space is shared between the flexible, so the stretchable widgets. And we have 3 spacers, which are 3 flexible widgets, and they share this the space equally. Now, what if we wanted to share it non-equally? Well, there are ways for that, but I'll also tell you that the most general widget that does this thing, spacer is a just one example, but I want to explain to you the most important one, which is called expanded. Yeah? Actually, in the example now, well, let's keep this one. No, it's not a problem. So let's put an expanded widget in here. The expanded is also a widget which will grow as needed, so it tries to get all the space it needs, but it also has a child. So the spacer was only pure space, but now the expanded has a child within. Okay? So let's say we want to put inside the expanded. Let's put an icon, for instance, and I'll say icons. I don't know, shopping cart, whatever. The first that came to mind, shopping cart. Let's say, okay, let's do that like that. So I'll say expanded, and inside it an icon of a shopping cart. Actually, we cannot see it because it's black, because I changed the, let's say, colors white, and it's very small. So let's make the size larger, like very big. Yeah, something like that. Okay. Now you can see that the expanded now is taking exactly the same space as the spacers do. So if I remove one, there are less people to share the space, and now this expanded up here is the same as the spacer. What is the way in which they share this space? Well, both expanded and spacer, which are flexible widgets, have a flex parameter. So let's say that we wanted this expanded to have a flex of 2, and then this spacer also has a flex, and this has a flex of 1. What does that mean exactly? Let's try it first. Actually, I'll make this container go up so that we have more space, and possibly this text as well, because otherwise we cannot see. Okay, now we have the expanded up here and the spacer down here, and the expanded has a flex of 2 and the spacer has a flex of 1. Let's save that and see what happens. And well, it's not so easy to see, but more or less the space that the expanded is taking now, it's double the space that the spacer is taking. So the way they share the space is by using their kind of flex force. It's like they fight for the space they have, and their kind of force of fight is like the flex factor. In general, you mentally have to kind of sum up the flex factors that you see, and the ratio between them is like the final partition of the remaining space. If I say flex 3 here, this expanded is gonna get 3 times as much space as the spacer down here, which has a flex of 1. Okay, and in this way you can split the screen in proportions that you can choose very fine. Like if I say 9 and here I say 13 or a stupid thing like that. Now the proportion between the space of the card and the space down there is like 9 to 13. Yes, you can put stupid things. I mean, it's not necessary, but if you want to do it evenly, you put flex 1, which is the default, and that's 50%, 50%. For this widget, the shopping cart one and the spacer one. Okay? Let's actually change this spacer to something else, or we could even remove it and then put the last text, this U text, we can put it inside the expanded. How do I do that? I press Ctrl dot, I say wrap with widget, and I say expanded. Okay? And I'll say save. And now you can see that the expanded contains a U, but the size of it is exactly the same as in the shopping cart, sorry. Okay? Actually, I didn't change the flex, but I didn't keep the flex. But if you don't say anything, the flex is 1. Actually, if we hover over the flex parameter, you see that the flex is 1 in general. Okay? So, by putting this flexible widgets, you can adjust how they share the space and stuff. But maybe sometimes you will want to have a separation that is controlled by you, which has a space that you dictate. So I'll show you some other widgets that help with that. For instance, let's say that we want to separate the how text from the red box, okay? And in between here, I want to put some space. How do I do that? There is a specific widget which is called sized box, which lets you do that. Sized box. And then I'll say the height of this is, I don't know, 20, let's say. And I'll remove this comma and put this comma in there. And then if I save, you will see the sized box appear. Is this small stick like holding the how and the red rectangle? So this little box actually it has a width of 0. If I put some width to it, like 20 as well, you will see that it becomes a square. But if the width is 0, then it shows on the screen like a small stick that's holding everything. Okay. And let's say that I wanted also to put that on in between the box and the next thing. So if I say size box in there. By the way, every time I change that, all the widgets that are flexible receive less space because I'm taking up some of the space, and then they have to share less. So you saw that the expanded were shrinking a little bit because I put this size box. Okay, let's watch that again. If I say that, they become a little smaller. Okay, so that's funny. Combining this stuff, you can do almost everything, I believe. For instance, let's actually scrape this because it's a good example. But let's put something else. Imagine that I wanted a screen to have like kind of 3 zones, and the 3 zones have to be 3 kind of rectangles, and inside them. I want to split the screen into kind of 30%, 20%, 50% of something. So I would do something like that. So I would say 30%, I'll put a flex of 3. Then as a child, I'll put a container. Now this container, I won't say how big it is, and then I will do a trick later. So I'll say container color, let's say red, for instance. And then another expanded down here, which has a flex of 2. And I'll say that this is a color green container. And finally, we can write another one which has a 5 flex factor. So it'll take more space. Red and blue, whatever, something like this. Now, if I save, it already works, but you see that the proportions are exactly right. Okay. Now inside all these containers, if I typed something like this and then indent it, actually, I don't like too much I want to put an extra comma in here. This is a mess otherwise. Yeah. Something like that. And then inside a container, I can start putting stuff like a text saying hi or something like this. Yeah, well, that's funny. Yeah, I also wanted to show that, but not now. Anyway, the container, if I don't put a child, I think I told you already, but it's nice to review this. If the container doesn't have a child, it gets the size from the outside, from the parent. But if it has something inside, it takes the size from the child. So in this case, if I say child text hi, because the width is not set, the height is set from the expanded. The expanded said, okay, the height we have is this because I negotiated with my brothers and we have a 30% space of the whole screen. But the width was not set. How we can fix that? Well, let's use the stretch now. So if I do stretch, then the container stretches, and then I am working this height is using this area here and freely, and it's a part of the screen. So to split the screen into sections, the expandeds are very nice, and you can see that I never put any single coordinate there. No no sizes, no kind of hard-coded sizes written by me. Everything is flexible. If we could make the mobile phone smaller now, you would see how it reacts. Since this emulator is a fixed screen, I cannot do that, but later on we will use the web version of Flutter to be able to change the screen and adjust stuff and see that it actually responds. It's responsive in a way. Okay. Okay. How is it so far? Because I'm not receiving so much feedback, and just to know that everything's fine. Is anybody listening? Okay, perfect. Enrique, thanks so much. Nice. So let's. Actually, there's some screen. Of course, I cannot grab any. There's some window in there on some of the classrooms. Anyway, obscuring the screen. But I suppose you are looking at your screen, I guess. No? Super. So what are the widgets that we are combining? Let's take note here. We said we have the column, and the column has a main axis and a cross axis and a size as well. The size is also important. All of these play a role in how things are aligned. Then we have the expanded, the spacer, which is an expanded space, and also the sized box for putting spaces between things. Okay. So with this, you can do almost anything. And let's see the row now then. So what time is it? Yeah, it's fine. So let's see the row. The row is almost the same, but in a horizontal main axis, let's say. So I think I'll keep this, and inside the green container we can start putting rows. Okay. Actually, if I can do Ctrl Shift P and toggle debug painting, we go back to the normal drawing, which in this case is much clearer, I think. And this green we can do it more darker in a way, something like that. That's fine. And this high thing we could put it on the center. So Control dot center. And if I do that, you see the high on the center of the. Now let's put a row inside this container. So let's do child. Now row. I open there. The first argument that is suggesting me is children. If I say children, it writes for me the list, which is fine. And I'll save it. I'll put a comma in here, otherwise it's difficult to manage. And then inside the row, the row now it's not showing up, I think. But if we do that, no, because the container is probably obscuring that. Let's put something into the row. Let's put text, which says ABC. And then another container, which is going to be, which has a shape. Sorry, the decoration is a shape decoration. This by the way is a new one, with a shape of circular border. No, sorry, shape. Oh my god, I forgot about this. Circle shape. Is it circle? Ah, yeah, circle border. Like this. So now what I'm doing here is putting a little ball. Like instead of having to put the radius border and stuff, I make a little ball. And I'll say that has a width of 50. I don't know. And the what else? Ah, yeah, the color. The color actually we can put here. I don't know if it will break or not. Let's say yellow, for instance. Colors. Yellow, something like that. Yeah, no, it doesn't like it. The shape decoration also has the color inside, so let's change that. This is the typical error of putting the color on the container or on the decoration. If you have a decoration, you should put the color inside. Now, there's the right ball, so it's a yellow ball. And you're already seeing that the row is piling things from left to right, and it's putting the stuff all together, like on the left. Let's open this here. It's better. So this is our row now, and we can start putting more stuff in there, like an icons, what is battery or something. Let's put a battery alert. Yeah, that's fine. And also we can say another text which says C, D, E, no, E, E, F, G. Let's try it with that, okay? Yeah, nice. And if I show you the boxes, Ctrl-Shift-P, toggle debug painting, you see that the row seems to occupy the whole space. And why is that? Well, because the expanded, because the column that we are playing with has this stretch thing. Let's actually change it and make it align to the start on the cross axis and save that. It doesn't actually do anything because yeah, I'm not sure now. Probably because the expandeds are taking the full space, and no, because of the center possibly. Yeah, well, I wanted to show you how the row also has a size and it can affect that and stuff. But actually, we can try it and see what happens. Now the row is supposedly occupying the whole green area, and I'll tell it, okay, on the main axis, try to be as small as possible. So let's say main axis size min, and yeah, we can see that now. So now the expanded is wrapping the row. Sorry, the container is wrapping the row, is fine, and the row is taking as little space as possible, which is curious in this case. It only takes as much space as the elements it has inside. Okay, let's try with the max thing on. Let's go back. Let's play with the main axis alignment. So main axis alignment dot, and if we do center, everything goes to the center. If we do space between, everything goes like that. If we do space around, everything goes like that, which is fine. And for horizontal things, I think space evenly is the best. It feels better than the other ones. If you need to space stuff, that's a nice combination. And also, there's one in here which we didn't talk about before, which is only for text. Where is it? No, this is the main axis. Sorry. Let's keep it like this: space evenly. And now for the cross axis, let's say cross axis, and we have start, we have end, we have center, which is the one we had before. And now, if you have text, and the text is already too small, but let's make it larger. Let's say style, text style, font size 40. Let's keep it on one line, because otherwise it's too big. Style, text style, font size 40. Okay, now that the font is much bigger, what will happen if some of the fonts were larger than the other ones? Let's say 20 here and there. Now, if I do center, and I'll show you some other trick you can do with this DevTools, Flutter DevTools thing. I can show you the boxes like this, putting on and off. But if I say Ctrl-Shift-P and I do painting again, you can see that it says toggle baseline painting. What's the baseline? Well, the baseline is the line that on a text determines where the letters are resting on. Like the baseline for an A is just below the A, but for a G or something, or for letters that go above or below, the baseline is like the floor, and you can go underneath the floor and things like that with certain letters, like G or J or P or Q. These letters go down the baseline. Now the baseline, in this case, you see that I'm only showing baselines, and it's ugly because the ABC is smaller than the EFG, and if I center both, it doesn't align properly. It doesn't look right. So there's a special cross-axis configuration called baseline, which actually lines up everything on the baseline. It actually ignores the other stuff which is not text. As you can see with the yellow ball, it didn't obey anything like that. So it only works for text. And the icon, curiously, is treated as text. Okay? So it's aligned as the baseline. Now, showing the baselines allowed us to see that everything is aligned properly, which is very nice. Now, if I toggle debug painting, you see that the boxes are really fun. Like the APC has a very small box, but if I look at it like that, I cannot see that. But if I look at the baseline, you can see perfectly that they are on the same baseline. This is a small detail, but sometimes it might happen that you have a big title, and on the right you want to put some text, and you want this text to be aligned with the baseline, with the other text, and that's an important setting there. But apart from this, we don't have much else, like center and start stretch, and actually the stretch in this case, let's see what it does. Yeah, we don't see the boxes. Let's toggle the debug paint like that. Yeah, you see that there's stretch too, and the row does the same. And now the container behaves like it centers stuff, but the text doesn't. So we maybe should align the text vertically or something. This is, I believe, less frequent to put a stretch on a row, because rows are more preoccupied with the main axis possibly. I don't know. I haven't used it much on rows. Okay. So basically, it's the same. It is the same as is in the column, but exchanging the main axis and the drop. How's everything until now? Any questions about this? I don't think it's difficult, but maybe you thought up of some lots of things. You mean that I'm explaining lots of little details? I know. yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's fine. I think it's you have to kind of remember a little bit what was possible, and then when you try to do it, try to find it yourself, and then you kind of in a way solidify your way of doing it, like you know these details yourselves. I don't think it's super important to know everything. It's just important to be able to find it quickly. Because I myself don't remember a lot of things, but yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to ask you if you could share this code, because tomorrow when I want to practice this, I will be like, okay, I want to do it bigger. How do I do it? I want to look.
Okay, let's keep this code. Let's keep this code. Let's keep this as, because I already erased the column, but let's keep this one. Like I'll save as, let's say, row example. Let's keep it, yeah. And then I'll go back to the main one, and this is like a snapshot. And I'll keep working, but that's a snapshot of how it was, okay? And you can alter it however you like. Okay. I know it's a lot of stuff, but I believe the trick is to more or less remember how to do certain things, and then try them yourself. And you can do that on the task directly, so it's a nice point. But if you want to do it already, it's not bad, because on the exams, I think this is probably the bottleneck. Some people understand pretty well, of course, but once they try to do stuff, the difficulty comes from these little details that you don't remember exactly how that was. You start fighting it, and the exam doesn't go as well as you thought. So it's good to practice a little bit. Yeah. So the basically the row and the column are more or less the same idea. They are super important in Flutter. You will see that we will use columns everywhere and rows everywhere. And it's the only way to structure stuff vertically or horizontally. And in given any screen, it's not difficult to see more or less from the beginning what the structure is. Like, okay, I see a column with two things, and inside here there's a row, and inside this there's a column. We will take a look at that later. Okay. Right now it's a good moment to mention something. Let me show you the stuff I'm talking to you. Like I have little exercises already prepared. Like one of them is this, which I already more or less did on the screen. And another one, for instance, if you wanted to practice, you could do that. I'll upload them on the campus. Yeah. So something like that, or something like this, or something like this. This is a little more difficult, but not so much. All of these are little exercises, like try to draw this on the sheet. Okay. And like for this is the easiest, I think, the semaphore, and then yeah, it's so that you practice how to do that. So I can upload a zip file with that. Let me do that right now, so that I don't forget later. So let's say let's say row column exercises, something like that. Column exercises. So I'll put them on the campus, and then you can later work on that if you need. Let me show you the screen already. And yeah, file. So this is here. Let's call it row column exercises. Okay, out of the folder, yeah, maybe you can see it better like that. And then later on I will upload the, actually no, let's upload it now so that I don't forget. Let's upload the code that row code sample. Something like this. And the row code sample is in here. Source layouts has to be here. No. So I'll keep it like that. So you already have it if you want to take it better. Nice. So in general, let's go back to the. In general, the way of doing layouts. Oh, thanks for accepting. Thanks a lot. In general, the way of doing layouts is by using row and column, and let's put say row and column with the size, main and cross axis. But sometimes you will have the problem that you want to put some widget on top of another, not below, not because row and column separate stuff. They are not touching at all. Like there are no layers. It's just one. They separate widgets and they have boxes that do not overlap at all. Okay, but sometimes you need to overlap stuff. Okay, and in that case you need something else, and the stack is the one we need for that case. Okay, and I believe that using column, row, and stack can possibly let you do any type of string that you need. Let's work work on the stack, and actually I have a lot of things here, but let's keep them, and then I'll do a snapshot in the end. So let's paint on the blue part now. Like we have a blue part, and we can work inside the blue part now. I have a container, and inside the container we're gonna put a stack. What is a stack? A stack has a structure similar to the row and the column. It has some children. Let me indent there. But these children, you're gonna see that they are painted differently from the other ones. Let's try that first. So expanded side. Where was the? Yeah, this is the yellow ball. By the way, let's do something that we haven't practiced much, but I like to show it to you as well. So let's say I want to reuse the yellow ball, but I would like the yellow ball to only have one parameter and just the size, and not having to write all this thing all the time. And I want to say yellow ball, or even ball, or circle, or something. Let's say ball. I want a ball, and I want to choose the color and the size. That's it. Okay? And how do I do that? It's super easy. It's like I go to container, I press Ctrl dot, and there's this option down here called extract widget. I don't remember if we already used that or not, but it doesn't matter. It's a way of extracting this part of the interface that I'm on, this container. I'm going to extract it and name it in some way. Like now I am writing up here, it says enter a name for the widget and press enter to confirm or escape to cancel. So I'll say ball. Yeah, that's ball. So for now, what it did was it created a widget for me with that name. You can remove this constructor because it only passes down the key and we don't need the key much. Okay, so now I have a ball which is the yellow ball, and now I'll put some parameters to this. Okay. And what are the parameters? These are the color and the size of the ball. So let's do this. Final double size and final color. And I say final because widgets in general, we will see this later in more detail, but widgets in general are immutable. They are kind of like constants. They are just configuration. They do not change ever. You actually rebuild them. It's like they are Kleenex. You throw them away and they never change. So I'll say ball, this size, this color. I'm making a constructor that initializes those two parameters, and down here on the size I'll say this size, and on the color I'll say this color, and we are good to go. So this has produced a new widget which has parameters controlled by ourselves. And actually, let's put a little detail in here. If I put a comma on the color at the end, and I press Ctrl+I, which is a format document thing, and I type on both lines required, I'm saying to Flutter that if the guy who's using this widget forgets to put the size or the color, he should get a warning or something. And if we go up, now we get the warning actually. It says, oh, the parameter color is required. They always see. So let's say size 50, colors yellow, and that's it. Okay? And I get the same thing. Actually, let's make it bigger so that you see that it's a new widget. Okay? I am really using a new widget. So you saw that the process, this is a diversion from the main theme, but I think it's important even. A piece of my already made widget tree, I like to call it something, and then I extracted that and I call it ball, and then I said, oh, I want some parameters, and I added them to the constructor and the widget itself, and I used them, and I have my widget called ball, which I can use everywhere, and that's what I wanted to use on the stuff. So let's use the ball. So let's say ball, size 100, 1000 no, color, I'll say color is orange or something. Let's see that. And we have a ball now. And it's painting on the left, and it's a little funny, but let's keep actually let me do something. The container is going to have let's put a center in here. Let me try something. No, it doesn't help much. I want to because I don't want to touch the size of the container itself, but well, okay, let's I want to stretch the container, so let's do stretch here, and we'd be done with that. Okay, that's what I wanted. However, I'm not understanding one thing. Let me check the debug painting. Okay. I see. That's not a problem. Let's keep it like that. Oh, sorry. Actually, no, it's fine. So let's put another thing inside the stack and see what happens. Like I'll put a text saying XYZ, and then the style bigger, because the text style I want it to be bigger. And let me check if there's any questions. Exactly, yeah. Thanks, Thomas. I wasn't looking there, but thanks for answering that question. Text style, I'll put font size larger, something like 40 even. something like that. And let's save now. And actually, the ball is getting big because we are not seeing what I wanted to see right now, and this is because the size of this ball. Okay. Yeah. You see, yeah. I forgot to set the height of the ball. Okay. So yeah, let's set it. The height should be the same as the width. Okay, that's what I wanted. Yeah. I was not sure. Well, it's not a bad example of fiddling with stuff until you find. Yeah, I forgot to set the height of this container, and because if we were horizontally constrained, it wasn't a problem. But now it was, and it stretched, and I didn't want that because I wanted to show you that now the stack is putting the text on top of the ball. You see that? It's interesting. And if I put another ball, but I'm putting it below the other one, let's say color, say indigo, yeah, something like that, then it's gonna paint below the other one. So we have kind of 3 layers now. And sometimes this is necessary because, well, I'll show you an example later. But the stack is very useful in many cases because it lets you paint on top of stuff. The example I'm gonna do next class is gonna show you that in many cases, but I'll tell you one example right now. So let's suppose that I have a shopping cart. You know this, yeah, indigo is a color. It's just a color. There's this, yeah, they call it indigo. Like if I... Yeah, this color naming is fun. Actually, there was this project from a guy who wanted to name all the colors in the RGB thing. Like that means a million colors or something, and they wanted to put a name to all of them, like curiously. But they were combining them in a way. It was fun. But they call this indigo. Now, what's the stack useful for? You know these applications sometimes that show you a red dot with a number inside, maybe saying you have 5 emails, or you have this many notifications, or you have something in your shopping cart, or blah blah, anything like that. Well, that dot, it's on top of the icon or something, or on top of the whatever. Yeah, it's on top. So if you try to do it with rows and columns, it doesn't work because you will never be able to paint on top of anything else. So that's one case in which it's very useful to have a stack. Let's try that example actually. So let's say, actually, we don't know the size of boxes. Let's say, what's the size of boxes? You see that the stack also takes the size of the children. Yeah. If I center that now, so I'll say inside the container, which is blue, I'll say center me the stack, and it centers perfectly. So let's suppose that here I want to show a shopping cart. Let's make it a very big, like we were showing before, and then let's put a dot on top of the shopping cart or something. This is actually a pre-exercise because this shopping cart with the dot, it's on the next class screen that I want to show you. But let's try it now because it's nice. Actually, I'll remove the children that we have now. The stack goes to 0, like it disappears almost. And then I'll say, no, we want an icon's shopping cart, with a size much larger than the normal one. Let's try this. Yeah, and white size, white colors white. Okay, nice. And then on top of that, I want to paint a ball. Now it's nice that we have the ball, by the way. A small one, let's say 10, and the color is going to be red. And this is going to tell us that. And now you see, the problem we have now is that the ball is not on the right place. I would like it to be to the right and the top. Okay, to the top right, basically. Now the stack, as we have seen, if you put stuff in here, let's put another ball but much larger, much larger, like 200. Below these ones, let's say colors black. If I say that, you see that the card, or even maybe not so much, the card is on top of the ball, but everyone in this stack is to the top left. Yes? How do we align things inside a stack? Okay, actually I will keep the large ball because I like it, and you will see that everything aligns with respect to the whole box, which the stack is considering to be the largest one. So the 200 pixels black ball is now the effective size of the stack, but I can change the alignment of everyone else. So let's do this. Let's say we want the let's say we want to move the card, for instance. I want to move the shopping cart. How do I do that? Well, there's a widget which you can put wrapping your widget, like the center. Actually, if I put the center, wrap with center, it works lovely. It doesn't, actually. What did it do? Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. It did something really curious. I don't want that. No, the center doesn't work in this case. I kind of hope that it did, but I made a mistake. Let's save this. No, let's go back. We are still on the stack. The stack looks like that. The surrounding box is the box that surrounds the black circle. I want to align the shopping cart on the center of the circle. How do I do that? Which effectively is the center of the stack. So I wrap with, not the center, but with the align widget. It's called align. Okay? This is it. I'll put a comma on the end, Shift Alt F, and then I'll do, what's the alignment of this thing? Alignment. This is the parameter that lets you control that. So alignment dot and says, oh wow, I have everything in here. So if I say center now, oh no, it does move. I didn't expect that. Okay, so it's my mistake. Everything is interacting with, okay, I see. Okay, I didn't understand the interpretation, but you see now that the stack has gone to occupy the whole blue area and not the area that it had before. And I was thinking that it was only going to use the biggest size child as a guide for the size, but I think I like it better like this, possibly. Actually, one thing we could do to see this better is to say that the container has padding, and then you will see that the edging sets go to the, let's put 24. Yeah, now you perfectly see the let's recap what just happened, because I think it's confusing because I made a mistake. Now let's recap. The container is occupying the whole height and width of the screen. Why? It's occupying the whole height because the expanded is asking it to. It's occupying the whole width because we have a stretch on the column of the page. So the container is blue and occupies the whole, it's the 50% of the page. Yeah, the lower 50%. That's one thing. Now, I said the container needs padding with 24 pixels of padding, and you can see clearly that. And now, inside the container, I have my stack, which actually, okay, no, there's the center of the stack. Yeah, I didn't remember that. Let's remove it. I don't want this center because it's probably messing things around. Let's remove that. Remove widget. Control dot. Remove widget and remove it. Exactly. I don't want any widgets that do not give me anything. As you see, I removed that widget and I saved it's the same program because I don't need it there. You can remove a widget and the layout doesn't change, then you don't need that widget. Now, the stack occupies the box you see that goes from the red dot on the top left to this bottom right. There's a little dot in there. One day I'll explain to you what that means. And yeah, this is the whole rectangle that the stack is now occupying, and the ball, the black ball, doesn't have an align, so it assumes that it has to be top left. The red ball also has an align thing implicitly, which goes to the top left, and then we have aligned our shopping cart on the center. That's what happens. Actually, if I make the ball larger even, you will see that it occupies more, but still is at the top left. Yes? Now, the thing is, I aligned the shopping cart on the center. Do we have any more options for this? Absolutely. We have all options. We have bottom center. We have top center. We can do that. We can do bottom right. Okay. So any time you have a widget inside a stack, since the stack doesn't use the other widgets as a constraint, you can align it however you like. You can even align it in a kind of sort of midway fashion. Like the alignment has these dot constructors like that, or values. Actually, I think they're static values, but it also has a constructor, and the constructor asks you for 2 double values, and these double values have this meaning. If you do -1, this represents the top left. If you do 1, this represents the bottom right. But if I do 0.5, it goes halfway. Like this is the shopping cart being aligned, not to the bottom right exactly, but a little between the bottom right and the center. And the center is 0, 0, by the way. So align 0, 0 means center. So you can say no, just 0.2 like that and -0.2 like this, and then it will do something like that. Of course, this is proportional. If we made the screen larger or bigger, it would do a proportion of the sizes we have. So it's not super nice to try to align stuff with these alignments, but it might work in certain cases. The most typical, of course, are the ones which go with the dot. So that's very nice question, Thomas. The 0, 0 takes into account the size of the thing, and because this is a super nice question. If I do -1, 0, for instance, the shopping cart takes quite a space. It's like 50 on the side or something, and the 0 cannot be the leftmost part, so it really subtracts things and does it from the center of the icon or something, so that it is consistent. It is totally consistent. If I did 0.9 here, this 0.9 is using the space that I don't know the formula exactly, but it's an intuition. The little space that you see on the left now is like 1/20th of the whole thing, because it's -1 to 1. Yeah, but it's very well done. So essentially, when you say 0, 0, it's center. And if you do alignment center, it's the same. It means the same to them. But it gives you this extra little. But for instance, if you wanted to align the shopping cart so that the center, the left of the shopping cart is on the center of the stack, you cannot do that because you don't know. You cannot do it by using coordinates, I mean, right? Because the coordinates are relative to the size of the thing. So if you want to do that, you would do it some other way. But it's quite flexible anyway. So the idea is, I can move any of the children of the stack at any position I need, and we will take advantage of this next class by doing the layout, because there will be 3 items on the screen that need to be positioned specifically in this way and on top of the other ones, and it's a nice design decision to make it like that. Now let's finish our thing, because I wanted to make the shopping cart with the ball on it, but on the top right. So what I will do in this case to make it like that is to say, let's say, yeah, actually, let's remove this ball. Something like this. Now, the center on the stack doesn't help me much I want the whole stack actually to be more or less like the shopping cart itself, and then we can put the little ball on top. So we have to change a few things. So let's say that the container now. Yeah, I think I'll change the size of the container, even if the expanded will take all the whole size. And I'll say the width of this. No, because we have the stretch now. Let me think how we will do that. Maybe we'll have to insert another container. Yeah, possible. So I'll put another container inside. We'll change the color so that you see that. I'll put a container around this tag. So wrap with container. Typical, if there is an option for it, probably it's used by everyone. So this is very needed. So that's why it's there. So I'll put a container in there. I'll say, no, now the width of this is, I don't know, let's try 60. I don't know exactly, but let's try 60. Sometimes you do have to put the width and the height. And we don't see anything right still. And let's put a color for this one so that we can see that. Colors. I don't know what color I'll use this time, but let's say brown, which is ugly, but we will see. It is stretching. Yeah. Sorry, we have to put the center because I'm doing some reasoning here that maybe it's not so obvious. This container, it is constrained by the expanded and the column to be exactly the same size as the parent. If I put a container inside, it's not gonna work. So I have to put a center in here. So I'll say center. And now you see, let's remove the boxes. Yeah, you see that now we have a container which is the brown one. Now it is free from the constraints because the center, frees because the center is gonna calculate your position free of that constraints. And this container is the brown one, has a stack inside which is gonna be exactly 60 by 60. Okay. And now inside the stack, I'll say, okay, this ball is almost right, but by the way, let me see something. Probably about painting. Yeah, the size of the shopping cart is probably not big enough. But we'll change that, or we can change this to be 50. Let's see what happens if I do that. Yeah, I think that's much nicer. So now we can move the ball because the ball is on a stack that has the brown size. And I'll say control dot, wrap with widget, align. I'll put a comma up here, and then I'll say alignment. Now this is top right, isn't it? We want to put the ball right there. Yes, something like that. And now you see, okay, it's too much to the right and left. And in this case, I think it's nice to say, well, we can do it in two ways. Either we put 0.9 minus 0.9, so the ball is not touching so much. You see the ball now that moved. Maybe you don't see very well, but I don't want it to touch the extreme size like that, but only 0.9 minus 0.9. That's one way. We have another way of doing that, which is to put a little margin or little padding on the ball itself, which would work fine as well. But I think this way is nicer. And the ball, I think, is not big enough. Let's make it larger. And as larger as I make it, it's still aligned in place. So it's much easier to adjust like this. So let's put it like that. It seems that my shopping cart has something in it. I'll remove the color now, and you can see that the icon works. And somebody was asking before, like, how we organize Flutter code, and you can see that I already have how many? Yeah, 14 parentheses or curly braces or brackets with their respective commas. That's why I was saying all the time that you have to format, because otherwise if you don't format, this is completely crazy to manage. And this thing I did with making a ball, it's a little widget, but it helped us organize a little bit the example, because if in the position of the ball there was the container, all that, it's more to the to the complexity of the tree. So managing the complexity of the tree is probably the only annoyance you will have in Flutter. Everything else, I think, it's nice, except that, yeah, it's not pretty to look at that. Yeah, there's no way to fix that because you need to write object hierarchies with many parameters, so it's probably not doable. Okay. Okay, how did you see this shopping cart thing? Yeah, the shopping cart is inside the brand container. Let's see what the structure is. Actually, let's look at it on the DevTools because now is a very good moment to do that. Let's move it. Oh, sorry. Let's move this thing here. Okay, nice. So I have a we have this expanded in here. Yeah, it's showing me the code, so it doesn't help me much. Can I close that? Yeah, okay. I have the expanded. Inside of there's a container, which is the blue area. If I click it, it shows me the code because it wants to help me, but it doesn't help me much. This is because the screen is so small. Yeah. So we have a center inside the blue container. Why? Because the lower container, which was the brown one, we don't want it to inherit the constraints, to get the constraints from the outside. And we had two constraints. One comes from the expanded, which says, no, the height is this. You should use this height. And the other comes from the column on top, which was, which had, how do I move laterally? Okay, I drag, okay. So the column on top has a stretch, which is stretching horizontally, okay? And so we put a center, and now let's show the boxes. And the center is the yellow stuff. How did I open the widget list? I just touched the little how is this called? The magnifying glass, they call it. Yeah, the magnifying glass with the blue flutter icon in the back bar, right? And it disappears. Right? And now the center decouples the two containers in size, and the lower container has the size that I want, like 50 by 50, which is what you see there. And okay, so this container now, every time I click one, I have to remember. Yeah, this container is 50 by 50, and inside it there is a stack, and the stack is gonna be 50 by 50, because the stack uses the constraints imposed by the parent mostly. Now inside the stack there are two things, and the shopping cart is centered, aligned at the center, and the ball is aligned at the top right, but with little less space, so that it doesn't look so on the touching the edges. That's more or less like it. So that's the look I get, which is nice. Actually, we could make a widget out of this. So for instance, if I cut here on this container, if I cut all of this, this is my shopping cart with either some items in it with a red ball or not. Okay, so we could cut it and call it shopping cart. Yeah, this is the shopping cart widget, and maybe has a boolean with telling it if it has something or not. Let's make it because it's nice practice. So move the container, we'd move the icon with the ball. Yeah, we can do that actually. We can. Yeah, let's do something. Let's say. Let me think if I can do this. Because I want to decouple that, but center is the best way. But I think we can even say align here. Let's try that. I'm making stuff up today. Alignment. Let's say alignment. I'll say top center, something like that. Let's see if that works. Yeah, it does. Right? So I moved the whole thing inside the blue container. Now I'm the blue container, and I said that the child of this container is an align widget which aligns its children. And inside that there's the container that I am talking about, which is the shopping cart. So let's cut the shopping cart and make a new widget, because otherwise this is too difficult to understand what is what is what. Flutter is very good at abstraction, so let's abstract a little bit. Let's say this part is the shopping cart. So let's cut it. Let's say control dot. Down here, the last option is called extract widget. Now on top, it says to me enter a name. So let's call it shopping cart. Like that. And then it cuts everything for me. It substitutes it for an instance of this object and puts a constructor. The constructor, I don't want it as it is. Let's remove it. But I do want one boolean. And actually, we could make it a little more complicated. I'll say how many items on my shopping cart there are. So I'll say final int items. Yeah, let's say call it items. And it's complaining because my shopping cart it's not initializing this value. So I have to do the constructor shopping cart and say required these items. Yeah? So now I have a new widget which is showing the red ball, but now the ball the ball, we have a problem now. The ball doesn't have a child. What should we do? We should put a child on the ball, shouldn't we? So that you can put something inside the ball. Yeah, let's do that, because we didn't do it before and now we need it. So let's go down, say the ball has a widget, which is a child. Yeah? And then it is a required thing. Let's say this child, okay? So I'm touching the ball, which was a widget that I did before. And now this container has a decoration, but it also has a child. So let's put the child in, okay? So I changed my ball now. Actually, it is not required. The child, you can put it or not. If you don't put it, yeah, this I made a mistake. If you don't put it, it's fine. If you put it, then it's gonna be rendered inside the ball. Okay? So we have that now. And now I'll say, this is, now I am my shopping cart. The shopping cart has a red ball, which is this one. But I want it to have a child, which is the number of items in the shopping cart. Yeah. So let's do that. Let's say child, text. I'll say these items to string. Oops, to string. Yeah, the radix was not a bad idea actually, because I wanted decimals. So now, if the shopping cart has an items in there, how many items it has, it will show the items. I don't know exactly how well. Maybe it's a mess, but we will see how that goes. It's possible that the size of the ball has to be adjusted because the text is gonna be larger or something. Let's try that. So now the shopping cart is complaining, saying to me, hey guy, you have a required parameter which is called items. And say, okay, you have 5 items in your shopping cart. Let's do it like that. Items 5. Yeah, actually we don't need this comma. Let's put it like this. A shopping item. Let's see how this flows. Items goes here, which is a required thing. I'll use it as a child. These items, I'll use that as a child of the ball. So let's save that and see what happens. Well, it more or less did work, but it's ugly because the 5 is too large. So we will make the size of the ball larger, like 15. And now that the number moved with it, which is not very nice. Like if I do that, you see that the 5 is all the time like there. So we have to fix that. And the ball is too big. Let's make it like 13. Sorry. No, let's move it 15. 15 is fine. And we just have to center the ball now. Sorry, the text inside the ball, which we didn't do because we didn't see that. So now I'll put a center here, like control dot, wrap with center. And now it's centered. And the text was from the shopping cart itself. So I'll say style, and I'll do 2 things. We'll make it white, and we'll also make it a little smaller. Okay, so text style. I'll say colors white. I usually write it like that, and then I'll put commas and indent. So textile color and then font size. Usually it's 16 or something. Let's try 12. So I'll say comma comma indent. I'll go back and then let's try that. Let's see. Yeah, now it looks much nicer, doesn't it? If you want to see, you can really see the 5. Actually, I'll even put the font weight bold because it made it more readable. Font weight bold. Weight bold. Let's make it bold. Yeah, I think it's much nicer. And the color of the ball, I'll make a more intense red, like 800, something like that. No, 700. That was too. Yeah, that's perfect, isn't it? So you see more or less that now we have a shopping cart widget that we can throw anywhere. Like you can put it there, wherever we need. Okay. And this shopping cart item is like some widgets, which is a container with a fixed size and something like that. And then inside I'm using another widget, which is this ball and things like that. So it's interesting. Okay, what time is it? Yeah, more or less. Yeah, we should end at 3/4, but I don't want to use the whole class like that. Let's review everything we saw today and then maybe discuss the exercises that I put, which are not difficult, and or maybe we can look at the layout that I actually, yeah, I think we will look at the layouts I have as examples, and then I'll show you the one we will do next day. If you want to try it before, maybe that would be a nice exercise. Actually, I have, for instance, we will do this one. Let me show it better. So yeah, this is the layout that we will be working next class. And if I look at the screen already, I'll tell you more or less the organization of this screen, but you see clearly that there are 2 zones on the page, which is split in half more or less. It is possibly not half, so if we need a factor that it's not exactly half, we can do it with expanded and a flex factor that suits us, and that'll be fine. And so in the screen we could do a column that would split the screen too, and inside it the lower part, which is the information of the screen, is another column, isn't it? Like inside the lower part, which is has an expanded possibly, there's another column. Okay, and in that column there are 4 things: the title, the description, and then come 4 boxes which are showing features of this lamp, like it has 22 watts usage, or 28 centimeters tall and 26 centimeters wide, and blah blah, and the cable is 1.6 meters, whatever. So all these features are in a row inside a column. Yeah, and if we go inside one of these features, you will see that inside every feature there is a little column which has an icon, and then inside and below the icon there's a text which has 2 parts, which probably this is directly a text, but it's already, so we have a big column inside of which there's another column, inside of which there's a row, inside of which there are little columns, so it's columns and rows all the time. Yeah, now this is a nice distribution. On the top part you can see a column which has an image, and below there is a little row with 3 pieces, 3 parts. Okay? Now, anybody tell me what are going to be the good widgets that we can write ourselves on this screen? What are the parts of the screen that are good stuff to put into widgets? Anybody has an intuition about this? I give you a hint. If you see repetition on a screen, probably there are exactly the 4 squares. Actually, we already could put a name to that. Yeah, we could say a feature, like a feature of the lamp, or a feature of a product, which has an icon and a units and some values. This is a widget, and I see 4 widgets like that on the screen. So yeah, exactly. So as Tomas says, the parameters of the widget is the same for everything except that the icon changes, the value changes, and the units change. So that's some repetition that we see. So what other places you see repetition in this screen? Because that's a nice way of thinking about layouts and stuff. In what other places you see repetition on the screen? So I see repetition in the features, but there's another place where there's repetition. That's a nice... Yeah, absolutely. The preview of the lamp has a way of changing the product's color. So we have white, yellow, and orange, and all of those little kind of buttons to change, or buttons or indicators to show you which version of the lamp you are looking at. They are the same, almost. Actually, it happens like with our shopping cart. The one in the middle is showing you that it's selected. So probably there's a widget called, you know, product color or something that shows a little ball with the color you have chosen. And if it is selected, it shows you a white border, and it's a little bigger so that you know you are in there. Yes, that's a nice communication. So that might be another widget, but apart from those, there's no more repetition. Now, the hierarchy, more or less, is a column with some columns and rows inside. But what about the back button? The button on top of this button in there, or the shopping cart, by the way, it's up there, or the add to cart on the bottom. Those parts of the screen are difficult to put with the other ones, and the yeah, I know. Of course, I was looking forward to that. Actually, the shopping cart on this example has a nice trick, which is that the border of the orange ball has a white. There's a white border, which is very nice. We will have to do that the next day. So, but the idea is, imagine that the screen doesn't have the back button or the shopping cart or the add to cart button. Then we can do everything with columns, rows, and stuff, and everything's in one place. And what if we added the arrow and the shopping cart and the add to cart stuff on top of everything else? Well, that's what the stack is for. And in this case, it's a super nice example of using that. Because the shopping cart is like I don't know, it's like a flapping thing that's on top. It's like a different layer. Seems like a different layer. If we had to do it in the same layer, this would overlap with the image of the lamp, which is not nice. So the overlapping we can take care of it much easier if we do those 3 elements: the back button, the shopping cart, and the add to cart button, which by the way are on the corners of the screen. Super easy for the stack. Yeah, we do a stack, we put them on the end, and we align them properly, and that's it. So this screen, the way of doing it is much easier by using a stack as the last step, and first doing all the partition of the screen, the intermediate widgets. It's quite a bit of work. I think I will spend next class doing only this, and maybe we won't finish it, but I'll give you the examples done, and I have more examples of this. And as somebody was asking in the beginning of the class, actually, since I have the chat, I think it was Jauma. Yeah, Jauma was asking this. So Jauma was saying, okay, how do we organize stuff when the code starts to get big? Super nice question. We will do this example ultra organized, super incredibly organized. Okay, how would you make the rounded corner? Yeah, we need the decoration, the box decoration of a container, and you can tell it only to put the rounded border on one of the sides. So yeah, it's not difficult. It's just a little bit of work, but yeah, it's easy. So this is one screen, but there are many other. I have many others. There's this movie information. This is not so nice. But this was my design, and the other one is designed from someone else. So anyway, but this is also simple. But yeah, all of these screens you can start looking at the. This one is super easy, by the way. You can do it very quickly, and in this one there's also a shopping cart as well. The shopping cart is a nice exercise, you can see. But any one of these screens is a possible example of doing layout, and you can combine columns and rows in all this. We will do this lamp one because I think it's the nicest. But I think you already have on the campus. Let me check that. I think I closed the window. Did I? No, I didn't. So you have on the basic Flutter stuff. No, I've just uploaded the assets lamp layout. Whatever. The next day I can put up that if you want to check. But your task, the first task you will have to do for this class is going to be just paint one screen. Okay. So if you want to start trying things, it's nice. I'll have the exact dates and the description of the task soon, but just so that you know where we're aiming at, it's interesting to see. So next day we'll do this exercise. I'll try to do it in one go, but it's maybe too much because the screen is big, it has many things. But then you'll have an example of how to work, and after that we will have to study more, but at least we will finish the painting part. Let's say we are learning to paint in Flutter now, so we need to know it to do well for at least one screen, and after that we will see what's on the road. Okay, any more questions? Yeah, Flutter's nice. I like it too. Let me stop presenting, then I'll. Yeah, okay. So, anything else? How many of you are still in the room? Because I see now 9 people connected, and we started much. And I don't that in the classroom I don't see anyone. So I guess you are the ones who supported me until the end. Okay. That's curious. Okay, I think I'll be kind and generous and put on the assistant sheet that there was like 15 20 people, but yeah, okay. So yeah, in the beginning there was many people that some of them said, this is unsufferable, let's go somewhere else. Okay, dozing off is yeah, it's important sometimes. Okay, so see you on next Monday. I believe it's going to be this. No, on Monday is on Adobe Connect, which I think is better, probably not so dispersed, not so much dispersion, and we will do the exercise. And then next Thursday I can come to the class, which I think it works better, probably. Okay. So super. See you on next Monday, and try to practice a little bit about columns and rows because it gets complicated fast, and it's nice that at least you spend some half an hour or maybe look at the videos, or I don't know, try to practice a little. Okay, nice. See you on Monday then. Have a nice weekend, by the way. Bye bye.